Will the 49ers bounce back? They're 2-3. They were 2-3 last year. Then last year they went 4-3, and then the season fell apart. Can the Niners avoid what happened last year and actually freaking bounce back?
So I do think there's some variables that do need to be taken into account with last year's. I do wish that they did better last year, honestly, but then they had the move to Arizona and all of that. Maybe that played a part in their performance. I mean, going 1-3 versus the NFC East last year was terrible. Maybe you can attribute it to Nick Mullins. I guess you can, but he was bad, but they beat themselves in football games in ways beyond him. So
Right.
I think that's the biggest question on them bouncing back, because the 2021 49ers beat themselves on offense all the time. I mean, you had a drive. What was it? They had like a 5-minute drive that moved 10 yards because they had like 4 holding penalties. I mean,
I think it was 18 yards.
yeah, they have too many execution errors. They have too many mistakes, whether it starts with the quarterback that's making execution errors. There's offensive line errors where, they're sliding protection the wrong way. You have errors in terms of receivers at times not being exactly where the quarterback wants them to be and stuff like that. And There's just something off with this offense right now. There's just a entire miss, whether it's the coaching staff, whether it's the players. It's just not working at the moment. And I think that's going to be the biggest question, whether the bounce back happens, because you see the opposite with the defense, right? The defense looks very comfortable in their P's and Q's. The defense is playing pretty much error-free football at the moment.
Right.
They don't really have coverage busts. They are all on top of their assignments. They're playing fast. They're playing confident, and they know what they're doing. The offense feels like maybe they're thinking a little bit too much. Maybe they don't know who they are and they don't know what they're doing. And I think that's going to be the biggest question on whether they bounce back, whether Kyle Shanahan can just, scrap this Trey Lance playbook for now, or scrap the entire idea of Jimmy Garoppolo and say, we're going to go all in with Trey Lance and we're going to do these 3 things and we're going to do them well.
But the thing that's interesting about the offense is that they're actually moving the ball pretty well. I mean, they outgained the Cardinals. They outgained the Seahawks by like 200 yards. And so they're not scoring so well. Why? Well, their red zone offense isn't terrible. To me, it's the turnovers. And you don't think of them turning the ball over a lot, but really against the Cardinals, they turned the ball over 5 times. 5 times, because turning the ball over on downs is a turnover. So that's why they scored 10 points. I mean, they outgained the Cardinals, but scored 10 points because you turned the ball over 5 times.
Right.
Period. And that's, I mean, you had turnovers against Seattle too, not that many.
Right, but if you go back and look at those 4th down plays, right, there's execution errors across the board. Guy misses a block. Quarterback doesn't runs through the hole before the pulling guard gets there to be his lead blocker. You see mistakes like this across the board, which comes back to they're just not executing in got-to-have-it moments. And that's a real problem for this team because, again, if you're not executing in got-to-have-it moments and you're starting a rookie quarterback and you have a relatively young roster that's been put together with guys who have just joined this system, say like New England. New England's having a lot of errors, but they're starting a second-year running back, first-year quarterback. They have had a bunch of different guys coming in and out of their offensive line. They have a bunch of new starters and young players on their defense. Okay, that makes sense. The 49ers more or less brought back every single starting player on their offense from last year. They have a lot of guys who've been in this system for a while. They have a coach who's been here for 5 years installing this system and building this talent. These execution errors should not exist, especially because they've only started the rookie quarterback 1 year, and we've seen 1 game, and we've seen execution errors with the veteran quarterback who's been the quarterback here for 4 years. So to me, that's the biggest question on whether they bounce back, because the schedule is favorable. The defense is playing lights out. They certainly have talent. Nobody questions whether they have talent across the board. So the biggest question is, can you execute as a football team for 60 minutes? And the 2021 49ers have not answered that question 1 time this season.